welcome to this edition of the New York State Cemetery Board. I'm Dan Shapiro, and Senator Rosato's designated chair.
Paul Ambrose, representing Commissioner Howard Zucker of the Department of Health.
And Christopher Wiles, representing the Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman.
Louis Holishuk, Director, Division of Cemeteries.
Chester Butkowitz, Assistant Director, Division of Cemeteries.
Tony Malillo, Counsel to the Cemetery.
Glad you could be with us today, Tony.
Yes. Thank you so
And
much.
not an up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
At the end of the table.
Yes, Joe Ambrose, Division of Cemeteries.
All right, welcome everybody. Have folks had a chance to review the minutes? Yes. Any corrections, questions? I see scratches on your paper, Paul.
I'm going to hold up on those.
Oh, cool. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
So you want to hold on the minutes, or are we saying?
I don't think so.
Okay. Motion?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
All right, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Legislation and regulation, Mr. Malillo.
Yes, hot off the presses.
Yeah.
They're basically recycled from last year. I didn't see anything new. And it's all just introductions in one or both houses.
Okay. Surprised.
Yep.
Louis.
Yes, sir. Oh, so I actually am not just talking for the sake of talking and have something momentous, stupendous, and incredible to report.
That's what you say every week.
That's right.
Yeah, this time it's for real.
Okay.
So, we are doing our annual report mailing probably Friday or Monday, which is not very stupendous, momentous, or exciting, or what have you, except that cemeteries now have 3 methods of filing their annual report form. One is taking a paper, as they have done in the past, taking a paper form, filling it out, and sending it back to us. The second, closely related, is that there is now available a fill-in PDF version of our form available on our website. It's there now. And you can go, and what it will do that is pretty cool, is it will do your calculations for you as you enter the lines. You still have to print it out. For both of those options, we have a new option for submission. Instead of sending it in the mail or faxing it, which we do still accept, you can email it to us. You can scan it. It has to be scanned because this doesn't have a online submission thing. You can scan it to us and email it to us at cemeteryreports@dos.ny.gov. But that's all about the really exciting thing. The really exciting thing is that there is now a third option for submitting your annual report, which is we now have an online system for submitting annual reports. Something that Chet first proposed in a memorandum dated July 1st, 2012. But we've got this done now. It's up and it is not quite yet available. It is a fully functional system. We just haven't published the link on our website. We will be doing that in the next week or so, I hope, because it's in our annual mailing. And you will be able to go in there, put in your cemetery, name and number, and some stuff will fill in, and you will then go ahead and complete the report right there online. There are a couple of inevitable there are a couple of things that we couldn't do with this system that I'm just going to call people's attention to. Number one, it's only fully functional using Google Chrome. We have no affiliation with Google. We don't own stock. But for whatever reason, it just works best with that browser. Second, there is no possibility of printing the form after submitting it. So the instructions say this pretty clearly. Print it when you're done completing it, but before you hit submit. Those are the two main. The other wrinkle is that you can't. I don't believe you can save your work and come back to it later.
I would.
I think you have to do it all in one sitting. So those are a couple of wrinkles, but other than that, you can go ahead and do that now. Oh, sorry, one more wrinkle, which is the system cannot accept attachments. So if a cemetery files a 990 or 990 EZ, they still have to mail, fax, email, carrier pigeon that page to us. Similarly, if a cemetery files an audited financial statement, you'll have to get that to us by other means because you can't just upload it through the system. The system does not accept attachments.
I assume we would put that directed in the instructions.
It is.
For the fill-in form.
It is. It is in the instructions for the fill-in form, and I'm pretty sure it's in the instructions for the annual report mailing.
Good.
So that's really our big news. We're going to be doing an online training for this on February, what did we say, February 1st?
I believe so.
In the evening of February 1st from, I think, 5 to 7. We don't have the link up yet. We will put a link on our website. It will be a webcast where you'll be able to ask questions, watch at home and ask questions as it goes. We'll also be recording that, and then the recording will be probably just about as scintillating viewing as these meetings are, but it will be available on our website for people who want to do a training. We, of course, are also available to come to a cemetery near you and sit down with you at the computer and show you how this works. I'm not going to be able to demo it tomorrow at the NISAC exhibitors meeting because you actually have to fill out the form to do it. And filling out the form 5 times over with a couple of people gathered around a laptop is just not going to be productive. But we will be having multiple opportunities for training on that. And then later in the spring, we'll be doing our regional meetings with people in terms of just whatever questions you have, be they this thing, the annual report, or what have you. Now, the annual report form is slightly different from last year. We've essentially kept most of the content from the revised form we had last year, but put it into the format that we used for the previous form. It looks like, this was Mr. Malillo's contribution to the project. It looks like the old form. It works like the old form, but it captures all of the data that last year's form captured.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very hopeful that it will be much more intelligible than the thing we designed last year.
Was that shared with their regulated entities?
Yes, it was. And we've had input from NISAC, and it has looked at it, and they've given us comments, and I think we incorporated most of them. And of course, the council was involved in reviewing it, and we all read it all together too many times.
Very good.
But that is live now.
That's great. Okay.
Question,
Yes, sir.
is there a plan at some point to have attachments included, or is that locked out for good?
As far as I know, so long as we are using the software we are using for the system, it can't handle attachments. That doesn't mean we're wedded to the software forever. Oh, I forgot to mention one thing. We will soon be able to capture that data on our end. Right now, we get the data.
Right.
We can print it out, we can save it. But pretty soon, we are going to have a Microsoft Access database that will be able to pull the data from that and put it into our own databases. The public cannot submit something to a state database. That's a security issue. You have to have a separate database for public-facing and internal. At least that's my understanding as to how things work. But we're going to be at the point soon where you can hit one button and do a run where you extract the information. So we will
No, that's very
have much better information
Yeah.
about, much better access to the information about cemeteries that we already get.
And historical information as well.
Ultimately,
Yeah,
yes.
that's great. Very good. Welcome to the 20th century.
No, this is 21st
You think?
century.
I don't know.
The fill-in PDF was 20th century.
Yeah, right.
This, I think, is arguably 21st
Okay.
century.
Very good. Glad to hear that. All right. Vandalism. We've got Whispering
we have
Maples.
Whispering Maples.
Why don't you give us a little précis, Louis?
Okay, so there are two things on for Whispering Maples today. One is a small new application. Apparently, while they were doing the work, they discovered some issues with feeder lines running. I mean, there are other things. I'm focusing on the biggest issue, which is the feeder lines bringing electricity into the building, or had problems.
Right, and
Water
that-
coming in.
Right, and so they only have one leg working from the feeder,
Yeah.
and they're proposing to run it under the driveway or something like that, and
And then there's then there's work that has to be done, I think, the other side on the box,
right?
and a couple of other relatively minor things associated with it. It's not a huge amount of money, but it was clearly not covered by your previous approvals of applications. And so they need your approval to be able to use for a grant for vandalism fund. We do, I checked, we do have enough money in the vandalism fund this year to cover it.
Any discussion on this? Questions, queries?
I just know what you just said. Don't we have a special fund for this?
Yes and no. We've already approved expenditures in excess of the special fund.
Right. The special fund, by the way, which runs through the vandalism fund.
Right.
But notwithstanding, yeah, those monies that were provided for that are promised.
So, I mean, so technically speaking, you were right. We might not need to pay this out of this year's vandalism fund money, because I think we have the special, I'm not 100% sure, I think we have the special fund maybe for 2 years, not just this year. So I think that if we can spend some of that on this and have that left over next year, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I want to double check that. But I mean, to the extent money's fungible, yes. I don't necessarily know which fund this dollar amount will come out of,
Right.
but I do know that it is something that the board has not previously approved.
And that's what's before us. Obviously, the division supports that, it needs to be done.
And should be done now while they're doing other stuff.
Any conversation?
What is the overhead markup for?
Or something I did.
These guys can clarify, the consultants for the towns are here.
Mr. Flynn?
I could take a crack at this, but
I'm sorry.
the overhead and markup,
Goes to the contract.
but what exactly, I mean, is one in the nature of a contingency, or is it all, or is one, are they both?
Are you talking about on the actual?
On the actual
change order?
change order, yeah.
I just don't want to speak out of turn, so I want to see what.
Yeah.
The last,
Oh, yeah, no, that is the essential, that's the contractor's portion of, this is their breakdown of how they would charge for this product. So, it's their profit.
they're both profit, okay. So I would have thought one was profit, one was
Well-
contingency, but,
The contingency is coming out of that full amount, out of the 99.5.
We deal with numbers
The
like.
engineer under the contract retains a portion of all the proceeds to
Right.
guarantee that all the work is completed. So there is actual overhead associated with this bid, that's included, and then the markup is the profit.
Thank you.
And they're providing it,
Right. Which is good to have.
instead of just a blank number.
Question? Wish I did. All right. All right, further discussion? Motion?
I'll move to approve the amendment to the application of Whispering Maple.
is it an amendment, or is this an additional, award?
It's a
We have an amendment that I want to talk to you about
I think
next.
it's let's call it a supplemental amendment application.
That's fine.
That. Yeah. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do you guys?
I'm cool with that noted
We do
in the
not
record,
check.
okay?
We'll do
In the
one.
minutes, Chair was cool with that.
Sure, it's
right?
cool.
Legal
was cool with that.
Since we haven't drafted the order yet, I'll make sure that we use that precise phraseology. We're gonna do an order when we break for executive session.
Okay. So,
The next thing is a clarification on the existing award.
yeah, okay.
This is just a little bit of housekeeping. There are two, one is a real issue, one is not a real issue, but it's caused my head to hurt enough that I've kind of wanted your help. The There is an error in the original application for, and make sure I don't make an error in speaking about the error. In the original application for $2.149 million that you approved, the amounts for electrical work at Plattsburgh and Ellenburg were reversed.
Yeah.
I think it showed, oh God, is it 80,000 at Plattsburgh and 90,000 at Ellenburg? It's either that or the other way around. And it's backwards.
It's in your memo.
And at some point, we can't, if we only approved 80,000 for, do you have Mike's memo?
I do not.
Okay. If we only approved 80,000 for Ellenburg, and then they spend 81,000, they have a problem, we can't pay that. So what I want to do is, what I'd like you guys to do is amend the original approval to allow for that, or just make some kind of statement that says that's fine.
Well, I think we actually ought to amend in that case, because you're talking about,
Yeah,
we actually made
Ellenburg
an
was
award
listed.
with a specific amount.
Okay,
And if we
Plattsburgh was
don't amend
listed.
it, that's gonna be a problem in vouchering and then making payment thereon.
Plattsburgh was listed at 90, but the amount is 80. Plus Ellenburg was listed at 80, but the amount is 90, which of course makes sense because Ellenburg's where the crematory is.
Right. Okay.
So that's
Yeah,
the
you
number
had
one
your
issue.
Wait, let's deal with number one
Okay,
right now,
fine.
all right, because we have the backup papers. Anybody have any issues with that? No. Okay.
When it was presented, did it also give a total for each location?
I
Because then you have
believe,
to
yes,
amend
the
the totals
totals
as
also
well.
have to be amended. 10,000 is to be subtracted from Plattsburgh and added to Ellenburg.
I would,
The board's order, by the way, doesn't show for each location. It just gives a total number.
let's see, maybe I'll try and figure a motion for this, because I don't necessarily want to get into the weeds.
I don't think we need a new, I don't think we're gonna need a new order, so just get a total.
Well,
We do need an approval.
council,
And if we are gonna do a new order, then we should, break it down by town.
no, it wouldn't be a new order, it would be a modification of the existing order. So I would motion, and Tony, chime in on this if I'm going off the path. I would motion to amend our order of grant to Whispering Maples to provide for its confirmation in accordance with the division director's recommendation with respect to the, what was this for again now?
Electrical work.
Electrical work proposed municipality.
To provide for confirmation for the division's report to correct the award, for that portion of the award for electrical work at both locations.
So, I think what we're doing, it's a motion to amend the order approving payment of abandonment funds to Whispering Maple by adjusting the allocation of funds between the two locations,
By $10,000.
reducing one by 10,000, increasing the other by 10,000,
Reducing Plattsburgh by 10,000 and increasing Ellenburg by 10,000.
without changing the total of the amount that was
Correct,
granted.
correct.
All right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it is right.
Without changing the total, it's granted
Right.
across the entire application.
Yeah, yeah.
Granted for this cemetery.
And you can add as it relates to electrical.
Yeah, I would add that. Yep.
Is that all that, Sean?
No.
It'll be recorded.
I know,
Hopefully- hopefully I spoke up.
but Chet's gonna wanna do a board order when we go to break, so that you guys can sign it before you leave, so that we're covered.
All right, I'll move it. So move.
If I could
Second.
talk about
Favor say aye.
describe something.
Aye.
All right, now there's a third wrinkle.
Yep.
This may not require an amendment. We had difficulty identifying the place within the application that provided for insurance and bonding to be paid. With some assistance from the town, found the page where it shows that the bid had to include a bond, and it had to, all bids had to include a 5% bond, which includes, which my understanding is also includes the insurance on the job. That is in your original application. However, when we broke down the various types, when we did a division presentation and broke down the various types of work that needed to be done, we did not list insurance and bonding as separate categories, and that's because they're included in the general construction budget for both items.
Well, there's nothing to change in the language of the application, right?
That's correct. I mean,
I mean,
I was
obviously
wondering
it has
whether
to be
you
bonded,
guys deemed it
yeah.
appropriate to clarify that the general construction portion of the award includes insurance and bonding, without changing the total number.
Unless anybody has a different opinion, I think that if it was said, as you say, it was set forth in the application, we approved it, it's there. Other than to acknowledge that, in fact, that would have been our intention, I don't think any motion is
That
necessary.
in fact was yours.
I mean, that's what we approved.
You had it
You say it's in
before.
there, it's a little
It's in
obscure, and you didn't,
It's
you
more
didn't
than
set
a
it
little
forth more
obscure.
specifically, but it's in there. So at the sense of the board, and please jump in if there's anybody has different opinions, we're fine with that.
Is there any?
No, I think because this goes through our fiscal office, they're seeking clarity that this was included.
Right.
So I think if the minutes reflect that it is the sense of the board, that the payment of these bonds is included in what was approved.
And that no further order is required,
Yeah,
because it
that's-
was already included in the board's original order.
Exactly right.
I would actually make sure the minutes reflect that.
Hey, division, you write the minutes, go for
Okay,
it.
fair enough.
Right.
No, you guys approved the minutes. Okay, so then there's no need for action on that point.
Correct.
So, good enough. Chet, did you ever give the vandalism report?
I have not,
Oh,
no.
we skipped right by you. Sorry.
Let's give the vandalism
okay.
report.
For fiscal year ending March 31st, 2018, vandalism fees collected were $138,429. Applications granted totaled $880,935, and applications pending totaled $1,004,205. Of the applications granted, 2 were for vandalism, totaling $21,981, and 30 applications were for restoration or hazardous monumentation, totaling $858,954.
And until today, we've had 2 applications, to both for Whispering Maples, and I guess the total, excluding the special fund, would be, what is it? It's 149,000 plus 9, approximately $159,000.
Very good.
I have a question.
Yeah, oh, yes, you were holding fire.
Yeah, under the vandalism fund granted application section, last month we approved money for Harrisboro Cemetery Association, and it's shown on granted, it doesn't show up under granted applications, it does show up under pending.
They may not have submitted their voucher yet.
Okay.
That's
We'll make that correction. Yeah, we'll follow.
But there may be a reason for it. If they haven't actually sent their voucher, and we might not move it to the account.
Well, actually, no, I think if it was granted last month, we would have entered, we would have entered up date in the application, so that's an oversight.
Okay.
Excellent.
What else we got for today?
All right, we got Sunset Hill Cemetery.
Joe, you
They
want
need
to
a new,
take
they
a
need a
crack at
new
this?
mower, right? And they seek to use, seek to use that appreciation form. Why don't you let us know what's going on here, Jeff? Is that yours?
Joe.
No, they're, just like you said, they're looking to purchase a mower and some repairs. Tony had some concerns. I just got those yesterday. I forwarded your questions to her, and she just got back to me. I haven't had a chance to review her.
Okay.
But she is available by phone if you want to call her.
Yeah, we
I
probably
think
will.
it's probably worth pointing out that, just as background, that Sunset Hill has a relatively new board.
Yes.
In the last couple of years, it had been the same people running the place for a long time. I want to say 2015, the
I
new
believe
board
so.
came in, something along those lines. Sunset Hill, by the way, is it in Jamestown or just past Jamestown?
I believe it's in Jamestown.
It's in Chautauqua County, in or very close to Jamestown.
Right.
It's one of two cemeteries, two large-ish cemeteries in Jamestown.
Okay, so I had some specific questions too. Why don't we, instead of talking out the person who's waiting for us, why don't we
Let's
get her
bring
on
it
the
down.
phone?
That,
Yeah. The other just while we're waiting, the other cemetery, large cemetery in Jamestown, Lakeview Cemetery, is the final resting place of Lucille Ball, and is frequently visited for that reason by large bus tours on their way to Niagara Falls.
I did not know
Apparently,
that.
I Love Lucy
Is
is
that
big
it?
in Japan, so Japanese tourists stop
They
by.
can't hear us, we'll move down, but let's see what happens. Oh, we got that, is that part of the system? Or is
Right,
that, 'cause
I thought it was, maybe not.
oh, that's, I don't know. I get,
Just
yeah.
that way?
We'll see.
That,
We'll
okay.
find out.
All right.
Do, 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 do.
First speaker.
Good morning, Sunset Hill Cemetery.
Hi, we're looking for Sarah Johnson.
Sure, just one moment. This is Sarah, may I help you?
Hi, Sarah. It's Joe Ambrose from the Division of Cemeteries.
Hi.
The Cemetery Board had some questions about your application.
Okay.
Hi, Ms. Johnson, Dan Shapiro, I'm Chair, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Right. Oh, that's right. I'm reminded, I have to tell you, you're live. We're streaming right now on the web, and this is recorded stuff, so get ready for stardom, okay? Okay. So, a couple questions. First question I had was just, I noticed in your application that you recite that care had been less than adequate in prior years, and that was the reason that you were seeking both the purchase of the new mower and a few $1,000s extra for additional care. Can you give us a little more context on that?
Well, actually, both mowers broke down this fall.
Oh.
After the application was done.
Oh, were they working
So-
prior to the application?
Pardon?
Were they functional prior to the application?
We completed the application almost a year ago, like in June of 16.
Okay.
And the mowers broke down in October of 16.
Wow. So you really did need them. Do need them.
Yes.
How have you been cutting the grass since then?
We have snow.
Okay.
The good part about having snow in October.
All right, very good. But what was, I mean, you did cite in the application some, I won't call it neglect, but you know, just not optimum care. What's the story on that?
Probably the employees that we no longer have. When I've been here 3 years, and I inherited some employees that weren't the hardest workers.
Okay.
But since we've been able to hire some newer employees that are better.
Right. And obviously the mowers that broke down were pretty much antiquated at the time of the application.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Anybody else on the merits of buying the mower? 'Cause I want to get into, you know, the fiscal after. Anything else on the mower? The need for it? Okay, good. All right, so I'm looking at the fiscal report generated by the division. A couple things just I'd like you to address. The first is that I see interment income went down pretty dramatically from 1915 to 16. Is there any trend or anything that we or you should be looking at, or is that just an anomaly?
Wait, what went down?
Interment income.
Interment income from 2015, it was 178,000, and in 2016, it's 129.
Well, it's kind of strange. Something we've noticed is that odd years are higher than even years. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
The curse of the odd year.
All right, but nothing that you know of that.
No, except for right now. We've only had 2 in January, and we've got 1 more coming tomorrow. But in December, it was only 7 of them. So yeah, I don't know. There's ups and downs, but
It's not uncommon to see big swings in interment income. If there's any effect that is
but
across-
2017 was higher. I'm just looking at I've got a summary that I did at our last board meeting. It was January through November totals. 2014 was 162. 2015 was 189. 2016 was 168. 2017 was 190. But that's total.
Right.
Cremains keep rising
Yeah.
as opposed to full.
Okay. All
That's the
right.
trend everywhere, I'm sure.
Yes. Yep. The other question I have on the fiscal is in 2016 you show 2 transfers, one from trust funds and the other from other funds. What are those?
I'm not sure. Is that on page 2?
Maybe Chet, you can help, or where's it? We have a fiscal prepared by the
Is
division.
that, one was for, you said 8,000 and wasn't?
No, one was for 17,000 and
17.
change, the other was for 75. The 17,000 is from trust funds, it's labeled as, and the other is transfer from other funds.
The 17,000, their CPA said is related borrowing from the escrow.
I guess supposedly that's our CPA, our accountant checked it yesterday, and that the 2
I'm not
trust
sure
funds.
what, I'm
I
not
don't
sure
know.
what they mean.
In 2016, at different times of the year, their income is slow, and in order to pay the bills, I have borrowed money from our escrow account, but I paid it back. So everything that I borrowed in 2016 from escrow, I paid back in 2016.
Okay, so we don't know, what is the escrow account? What is that for?
Mostly markers. So when they're paying installments on purchasing a marker,
Right.
they have a 4-year plan, and so we put the money into escrow so that it's not used.
Is that,
So it's there when it comes due.
all right, is that escrowed money, is that escrow account a matter of your discretion, that you do that just to protect the money in yourselves?
Right,
or is
yeah,
that-
we set it up to
Is that a
protect
matter
the
of,
money
or is
so
it a
that
matter of
so
contract?
it's there for the markers when they're needed.
Right.
What does division require?
Yeah.
When they were installing things?
Markers have to be, either the marker has to be delivered or the money has to be trusted.
100%.
100%.
So.
Translation, please don't do that.
What's the status?
Well, we always purchase the markers when it comes due, when it's needed. We haven't had any problems with that.
Right, but you could. That's why we require that either the marker be delivered or the money be kept in trust.
All right, so what's
We've
the
had cemeteries that have run into trouble with this, where they put money in trust and then they didn't put enough in or whatever, and it's not there.
But she's saying, do you purchase the markers immediately, or do you wait until need?
It depends. With the company that we purchase markers from, they can, there's a 48-month payment plan.
Oh, so they're
And so
giving
you
you
register
finance.
for that price, so then they have to be purchased within the 4 years in order to get that price. And so we always purchase them within the time period.
Okay, so this is something that I'll just say that the division, we do have rules and policy with respect to the retention of monies for markers to be purchased in the future. So the division will just be following up on that with you to make sure you're on the straight and narrow. So
You can end up in trouble, not with us, but in actual trouble that way.
So
Yeah,
if I-
well, we've been able to purchase all the markers that we
Right.
needed, and it's just, I mean, when you don't, if burials are low for, you know, especially in the winter for a couple weeks, and you've got bills coming due, especially
You may
at the
not,
beginning of the year,
depending
there's a
upon
lot of
what you're
things that you
really,
have to pay.
right, depending upon
You know,
what you're really doing.
It's-
and
But
I
then we
don't
put the
know.
money back in
Right.
within a few months, so it's
Right.
all, it's
I-
there.
Right, but what I'm saying is depending upon what you do, all right, you may be, because I don't fully know what you do, you may be in violation of division regulations, all right? So
We'll work with you
the
on that.
division will follow up with you and make sure you're on the straight and narrow. My last question on that is, what is the status of the borrowing from that escrow account right now? Do you know? Has that?
Currently,
Yeah,
in 2018,
yeah,
yeah, I've had to borrow some money because we're so low. I haven't been able, I mean, yeah, and our boiler broke in November, so we had to purchase a new boiler,
oh dear, okay.
and I just had to pay that.
Is this a seasonal issue? I mean, do you run out of money over the winter and then are in better shape during the warmer months?
Usually, yes. I
Okay.
mean, 2017 wasn't bad because we had a lot of burials in January. 2015 was a little iffy at the beginning of the year.
All right,
If I could ask,
yeah,
on your financials, there's a list of fund balances, permanent maintenance, special trust fund, general funds. Is this what you identify as the special trust fund, this escrow fund?
I don't think so, no.
So what is the special trust fund? Because that went from 86,000 in 2015 to 13,000 in 2016.
that's the other funds that's identified, the $75,000 transfer.
No.
What's that?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, that's the general funds. You're
Oh.
right.
So that's the cash flow
So
problem
is,
they've identified.
is this escrow fund considered part of the general funds? Is that,
No. We have a general fund, we have an escrow fund.
okay.
Is the special trust the escrow fund?
I don't really know.
'Cause I don't see
I'm
it.
sorry. We had a bunch of CDs that the accountants couldn't figure out what they were from. And they were, I don't,
Yeah, but that special trust fund is clearly what was transferred in 2006.
they weren't specified for anything.
Yeah. All right, well, I think you and the division might be sitting down and just going through some of these things.
I mean, we didn't have, nobody came out to, I've only been here 3 years, but nobody came out to do the audits for 14 or 12 years.
Right.
So, there was no support, well, before I started.
Well, we appreciate what you're doing there, really.
Is that why your professional fees went up in 2016?
I'm sorry, what?
The professional fees went up in 2016 to 21,000?
What do you mean special fees? I'm sorry.
Professional.
Professional fees.
Professional. Yeah, well, my predecessor didn't have an accountant do the books for a number of years and lost our tax exempt status.
Which is why the accounting fee
So
is so high.
the accountants the new accountants that I found had to do about 4 years in a row.
Okay, that's it.
So,
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
what about your salaries for your officers and directors? How much
they do not have any set. I am the secretary on the board, but I'm the general manager, so none of our officers are paid.
None of the other officers are paid, or the directors? Correct?
Right, directors and officers are the same thing in my mind.
Right.
It's the board. They are not paid.
Okay. Well, other than to,
I mean, we only have a staff of 5 people right now, and 2 are part-time.
okay. Any
And
further
that's,
questions?
so 3 are maintenance and 1 me, and then I have a part-time assistant in the office.
Sounds like you have your hands full.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's a lot, I don't know, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
well, no, good for you, good for the cemetery.
We don't have a lot of money to work with and
Right.
struggling sometimes.
Any further questions on this?
I have an additional question. Have you been withdrawing dividends and interest each year from the permanent maintenance fund? I can't tell if there's an entry for transfers from trust funds, and I'm just wondering if you've been pulling the dividends and income and interest.
I'm not really sure what it is. We get a monthly check that's income from the permanent maintenance, what we're allowed to take, so I'm not sure how it works.
So there's an entity that manages the funds for you and just
Yeah,
sends
we
you-
have, there's, with Northwest Bank, we have an investment senior portfolio manager that manages it. And according to, we are able, I don't know exactly how it works, you'd have to talk to them, that we get a check depending on what.
Okay.
I know, all I know is it's permanent maintenance fund earnings, but it's how it's invested. And I don't know how it works, but it was happening before I came, and
Well, I'm gonna
I
ask-
know they've been communicating with you guys, as our manager, with our account, to make sure that they're doing things correctly.
Well, I'm going to ask the division. I'm sure they have already determined that they're just going to come on down and sit with you, just make sure you're doing things correctly to your benefit, for the cemetery's benefit. But that's separate and apart, as I see it from this application.
This is Karen's territory, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it would be good. Getting back to the
Yeah,
minutes.
Karen was here a year ago when she first came to do the audit
So
after.
I guess we could just
12
do an
years.
update.
So we talked to them about,
All right, so getting back to the merits of the application, I think you need a new mower.
Or two.
Or two, right. So,
I'll move to approve the application of the Sunset Hill Cemetery Association for a proposed appropriation of their permanent maintenance fund.
second,
Second.
all in favor, say
I would just
aye.
ask before the motion that the board explicitly accepts the
Explanation.
request to take a 100% rather than the normal 50% below.
And strictly speaking, they're not approving it, they're just not objecting.
That's true.
That's true. That motion isn't needed. The board
No.
doesn't object.
So it's a sense of the board. Well, we're not objecting, and we know that they're taking 100% of their net appreciation, because they really do need it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Get out of here,
Thank you.
thanks.
Mr. Chair.
Where'd it go? Oh, I didn't photocopy that page.
$25,053.
At 47 cents, I did. He's at the bottom. There you go. All right. That concludes our discursive agenda. So at this point in time, I'd like to open it up to folks if they'd like to address the board in any respect. Say hello. Not say hello. Hello. Is that the extent of your comments today, Mr. Fleming? Okay. Wow. All right, in that case, we'll take a 5-minute break and then go into executive session. There's a meeting date to be scheduled. Why don't we do the scheduling first?
February's gonna be complicated, I have a vacation plan.
You can't go. You don't have to be here.
Actually, I suggest,
We have an even shorter meeting.
I'll be staying in West Palm Beach, I suggest
wanna
we
do
have
it
a
West
meeting
Palm?
there.
Works for me.
Then tell them.
What date are you?
We usually do the third Wednesday, right?
Can we switch it off on Wednesday?
That week though is fine, well, can we do the Thursday of that week instead? I can do that.
Of February?
Yeah, the third Wednesday is the 21st.
22nd of February?
22nd is better than the 21st. 21st is my first day back in the office.
Yeah. Yeah, that look good?
10:30?
10:30.
Joe?
Yeah, I have just a comment. On that last application, they applied for $25,053.47, but after adjustments by Karen, because they made some errors,
Oh, 21,000?
it's $21,723.87.
Thank
You
you.
still don't object?
So I'm giving that- hold on.
And I'd also like you guys to look at your March calendars because we were discussing the possibility of holding our March meeting in New York City. So
Be a change.
I would be happy to do the meeting on March 21st. Or 22nd. How does that
Next
look like?
meeting.
Can we actually pencil in a date for that now so I can check on availability?
Why are we doing that?
We used to do that all the time. Have meetings in different regions of the state to allow people to attend.
Not in my lifetime.
Well, in your lifetime, not your lifetime on the board. We used to go to Buffalo in the winter.
I'm not making you do
That was
that.
before his life.
Yeah.
On the board.
Remember that?
Yes, I do.
So we'll discuss this further. as to
But
whether
can
or
we
not
just
that's
pencil in a
appropriate.
date anyway? 20th, 21st, 22nd?
I'm free as the breeze.
Let's see.
Second.
22nd? How about you, Chris?
Yeah.
That's how I always want to celebrate my birthday.
Is that your birthday? You can't.
Yeah, I can. I'll come in wearing a birthday hat.
You will too, I understand.
I will,
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
will.
All right.
So we said February, what?
February 21st and March.
No,
No,
February
February
22nd.
22nd and March 22nd.
Both on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy.
March, what, 21?
22nd.
All right. That
And
having
we'll
been
discuss,
concluded.
and I'll look into the possibility of.
Look into
They're
the
going to
possibility.
text for that,
So,
whispering thing.
Have we concluded the public
Yes.
portion of the meeting?
I can read it.
But for whatever comes out of executive
Okay.
session, I'll motion to go into executive session. Second? Second. For investigative and litigative matters.
Actually, you might be.
All in favor, say aye.
Executive session.
Aye. We'll take a 5-minute break
Between
before we
your-
do.
Just check.
Welcome back. Exiting executive session, nothing in the report. Louis, you had scheduled.
Yeah, no, Chris had asked whether we could look at our calendars and see whether at least it is a possibility to have our meeting, if we're having it in New York City, on Monday the 26th, as opposed to Thursday the 22nd of March.
Do a weekend.
Oh, weekend.
Exactly.
You're all right.
A weekend in the country.
Fine, whatever.
No, March. February. I'm not making anyone travel.
You
in
just have to,
February.
remember, see, I'm up in the brain, I just have to remember in the morning to get up and go. Quite possible I'll be doing it remotely.
Nah, you'll come in on Saturday.
Yeah, okay, see what the comptroller thinks of that. Anyway,
The comptroller won't have any objection to you coming in on Saturday, so long as you don't charge your hotel to them.
not in travel status if I do that. All right, thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
The two
You are, motion to adjourn.
I so moved.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What you got on the date?